Hi everyone, Amira. This is my first time at the Foresight Institute, so thank you so much for having me. I had this huge passion for space medicine. I'm going to share a bit about with you. This is one of the work that I've published, one of the most recent at least. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with space medicine, but it's just taking care about people who are up in space. And broadly, I would say there are two main branches that I would ask you to look and to focus your attention. And one is the preventive medicine, so what you do to prevent stuff. And the other part is the acute care. So what are we going to do in case something's going to happen? And so the way in which operation impacts space medicine is going to change quite quickly. And I'm providing you an overview about what's happening, what has happened for the ISS operation, and how the impact and what it's going to be for the incoming, for future mission. So you see here, there is I had to summarize what operation is, and I had to focus your attention on the most important parts. And so this is most of them are Earth-centric mission, especially for LEO stuff. There is the opportunity for crew re-entry, so the crew, in case of emergency, can re-enter back on Earth. You can have resupply and replenishment of basically most of the resources, and you know that there's going to be variation in hypergravity and microgravity. However, there are mainly for medical reasons two key roles to consider, which are the crew medical officer and the ground crew. So the crew medical officer can be anyone in the crew, regardless of the experience. Is not really, anyone can be, even an engineer can be the crew medical officer. This person just required to have a little bit more training in the medical field, and suddenly you have the medical expertise to take care about people in space. And so the person who is the medical officer is just constantly in charge with the ground crew, and the ground crew redirects the medical officer to do stuff. But in new operation, the things are going to be way different in terms of they are not closer to Earth. There won't be any crew re-entry. There won't be any sort of resupply, and you might be exposed to a wide variety of gravitational forces. And so consequently, the operational context in which most of the medical devices and all the history about human health that we know is completely different. And so when we are planning future mission, it is one of the assumptions is to consider, okay, what we have done, what we know about the ISS, that we can build on that knowledge, we can track on the way we have to in a way, because that is part of our background. And we know very little about the exposure to a fractional gravity of the human body, considering, for example, if you had in this space on the Mars mission, you have at least 6 months of exposure to hypergravity, then a landing, which hopefully is going to be a very nice landing, but we don't know, very high chances of fracture and sort of things. But in this mission, if you look at the documents of Space Agency, the crew medical officer basically is a person trained at a physician level. So it's not anyone, it's a person who has been done studies, education in the field, and so on and so forth. And there is no ground control center that you can call in case you have an emergency. So this broader picture show you that the context in which space medicine is going to operate soon is completely different from what we know has been done. So we should not think that if something works on Earth, or has worked on the ISS, then we can reapply that on the Moon or Mars. That's not possible. That's not the way. And there are a few drivers of innovation in tech. And one of those, so for the ISS was the business-driven innovation, meaning that it was very expensive. Very expensive back in the days. So the way in which telemedicine has born was by translating knowledge and technology back to the ground. And one of the larger projects that NASA has run was about the use of ground resources. And then was like the early stages, and then it opened up space medicine. For deep space, it's actually purpose-driven, meaning that we are not concerned about the technology. We do have technology, and this is the technology that we have today. Probably is the technology that we will use in 30 years for having Mars settlement, hopefully. But is the purpose-driven, is the relation to technology and the use of the same technology in the operational context. And then the way in which the operation are being defined strongly impact the way in which we got to think about how to take care of the people in space. The drivers of health, again, are two different scenarios. On the ISS, it was more preventive. Even selection criteria, astronaut selection criteria are a way for preventing stuff. But in deep space, it's more like, okay, so if you are going to crash during landing and you're going to have some trauma and fractures around the person, what are we going to do? How are we going to fix it? So it's inevitable to think that something is not going to happen. We had to find a way to mitigate that, but sometimes it's not possible. This is why people want to have more physicians in the crew. I'm going to speed up, yeah. And this is done. Okay. The part of decision making that I think it's the most important part, and the ISS is basically the ground crew that tells you what to do in case of medical emergency. Period. You are not taking any leadership or any action in decision making regardless of healthcare matters. But in deep space, the flight crew shall be Earth independent or autonomous for Earth. And we don't have any capability, as far as concerned my knowledge, that allows a person to take care about himself or herself or the crew by without accounting for ground control. It's very close scenarios where in case of any medical emergency, try to fix it yourself without calling 911. The chances that you're going to get out of it successfully are very slim. And however, there are so many things that lack. For example, in healthcare, there are no human readiness level at all. There are technological readiness level, but they are not human readiness level. And so the way in which we are including a more broader diversity of humans into space flight, yes, I'll get there. It is in contrast with the evolution of technology. There are many different things, but in summary, there are a lot of things that are missing in the policy and the regulation. There is a system that is supporting the development of healthcare that are missing. So not having those pieces at the base can have dramatic implications further. I'm not going to go into that, but I would suggest, in case you had nothing to do, I wrote a paper. It's a part of one of my first special issues about healthcare for space for healthcare. So all of this is it's available as open access and a special issue as well. So I would encourage you to expect more space in the healthcare and vice versa. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Awesome. We have time for a few questions.
Space operations drive innovation in human healthcare. It does drive innovation overall biological fields, biotech, etc. So my question is, why not expand the horizon and say drive innovation in biotech, and why specifically human healthcare?
So mostly the way in which the biotech fields and all the self stuff, so the small scale fields has been conducted is in support of human exploration activity in space. And the reason is to lower the cost. So it's way cheaper to send cells into space, figuring out results, and then trying to get a conclusion for the human level. However, and this is a huge however in the fields, a cell is not a human being. A human being consists of systems. If you look at the cells and you do not consider the entire system, then you lack the big picture. Consequently, we had to do some tests on human beings. Like it or not, this is the way. And we had to replicate all the consequences. So you see now that people with diseases, they are flying to space. People that are way older, way younger. People that do not fit the astronaut criteria selection. So this is a period very delicate and very powerful in space medicine because it's going to open up to a broader population, and consequently, and we got to reinvestigate several aspects of that. So all the biotech and low-level fields are essential for supporting the understanding, but as far as concerned my knowledge, they will not help you in replicating the bigger picture, the system-level picture that is actually the human being. So we need to have a guinea pig in space to run data and then send them back. That's what the business is.
Great. Let us know your challenge.
How can we be safe in deep space? For this space, I mean, Mars mission mostly. That would be the most representative part of this space. People call it even the moon, but still.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you.